And so, predictably, the NNPP governor of Kano State, Abba Yusuf, has rejected the ruling of the Governorship Election Petitions Tribunal, which sacked him on Wednesday and announced the candidate of the APC, Nadir Gawuna, as the winner. In a swift reaction, Governor Yusuf said the judgment was marred by what he called human imperfections and misapplication of the law, and that he would seek justice at the Court of Appeal. The tribunal had sacked Mr. Yusuf after deducting votes from the total number he scored during the election, ruling that the votes were not certified by the Electoral Commission (INEC). Governor Yusuf will of course remain in office until the appeals process is exhausted and there is a final ruling on the matter. But the city of Kano remains on tenterhooks.
To state emphatically that although the judgment was a clear and deliberate miscarriage of justice and therefore a disappointment, our faith in the judiciary remains unshaken. The NNPP will appeal this most unfair judgment. We call on our millions of supporters in Kano and in the rest of the country to remain calm, be law-abiding, and maintain the peace. This glaringly lopsided judgment cannot stand the test of natural justice and fair play.
Well, for more on this, I'm joined now in the studio by the legal advisor to the New Nigeria People's Party, or NNPP, Barrister Robert Turner. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you very much, Charles.
What is your reaction from a legal perspective to the decision of the tribunal to sack Governor Abba Yusuf? I presume you've had a chance to study the judgment of the tribunal. Is that your phone?
Oh, thank you very much, Charles. Before I proceed, I want to put the record straight with respect to my correct names or name. I am Robert Turner. No, Robert Turner, they are my two names. Is my surname. Going forward from there.
Right.
The judgment just delivered. You know, there are two contestants. One won, one lost. The other one went to court. There were two parties in the court. The court cannot give judgment to two parties. As to one, I believe with the evidence and facts adduced together with the law applicable, and come out with a judgment. The tribunal, in their own wisdom, come up with a judgment that the governorship candidate of NNPP, His Excellency Abba Yusuf Kabil, did not win the election with a majority of lawful vote cast, nullified the election and declared Gwanan, the governorship candidate of APC, as the duly elected governor of Kano State. We as a party, we know and we believe that there was a miscarriage of justice, which we are not attributing it to anything, insinuating to anything. These people are human beings. The justices that sat are human beings. They look at the law, they look at the facts, look at evidence, apply the law, have come up with their verdict. Good or bad, we as a party were taking it with philosophical calmness. Our lawyers, team of lawyers, are studying the judgment. Even though we are yet to get the judgment, we got it through virtual or Zoom. We are looking at the synopsis. The judgment was not even clear. The hearing was not even clear. But we are looking at it. As I'm talking to you now, I think we are going to file our notice of appeal pending when we get the judgment and we have a comprehensive notice of appeal, as the law demands. So we are not saying that the judgment as it is against us, we are insinuating anything as some quarters are saying. We are not. We as a party, we believe in the judiciary. And thank God, and good enough, the Constitution has made it clearly, and the drafters of the Constitution envisage it, that there will be human errors, human inhibitions, human limitations in interpretation and application of the laws. And therefore, they make provision for hierarchy of courts. The Court of Officer has given its own judgment based on their own understanding of the law. I must tell you that it was a 6 to 7 hours judgment. Read virtually, though, 6 to 7 hours. The judgment started by 9:40 a.m. and ended about 4 p.m. Took a break of just about 10 minutes. That's strenuous enough. I want to give the judges, the panel, that benefit, that perhaps that is their appreciation. We may not be satisfied with it, which we are not. But it is normal.
Well, I don't think the issue here is what your, personal opinion is about the judges who preside over it. The point really is that your candidate, the governor of Kano State, has looked at it based on the advice of legal people like yourself, and he has said that he is going on appeal. So I would like to know what your grounds of appeal are and how confident you are in that appeal.
Very well. Thank you very much for that question. See, as we are talking now, the matter is sub judice. We cannot preempt the details of the grounds of appeal. But I must tell you, for the benefit of the hearing public, that we have solid grounds, and we believe unequivocally that the judgment, by the grace of God, be overturned.
Yeah, but you're talking about sub judice. You haven't actually gone to the appeals court yet. You haven't put in your application, and the governor, Yusuf, has said that the judgment was marred by what he called human imperfections and misapplication of the law, and that he would seek justice at the Court of Appeal. So that tells us something about the grounds of appeal. But what I'm asking you to do is to expand on that, to bring greater clarity to it, unless obviously you haven't really got your head around it. You're acting more on sentiment than sort of legal assessment.
Incidentally, I've been part and parcel of the petition, never missed one session, and I was there in the judgment when it was delivered. In fact, I'm on the same page with His Excellency the Governor of Kano State, Abba Yusuf Kabir, that it was purely an issue of human error. And of course, the grounds of the appeal we are going to base on the human error. The learned justices of the Tribunal err in law and even in facts. They err in law and in fact, just like you are saying, the same thing. I'm on the same page with His Excellency the Governor of Kano State. They err in law, and we are going to take it to the upstairs for the Court of Appeal, the appellate court, to look at it again, the issues before it. What you want me to do is to give you the details of the grounds. You expatiate on the grounds. Now, the judgment is not even before us as we are talking. The judgment was just delivered yesterday, and it was delivered in loose papers. If you are watching on Zoom, it was in loose papers. That means it has not even been typed, not to talk about being certified. We were hearing it via Zoom. So it is early in time what we could do now is the omnibus grounds of appeal. The detail of the grounds of appeal will come in later. But fundamentally, what the whole public is aware, by the interpretation by journalists, media houses, including yourself, is that 165,000 and some fractions were deducted from the lawful votes declared by INEC for our governor, His Excellency Abba Kabir Yusuf. That is the crust of the matter. When the numbers were deducted, then his victorious numbers came down, and
and the other guy was pushed up.
And Kano
APC,
came up. The APC governorship candidate came up and took over.
Well, we heard. I mean, you've. I understand the issues around your grounds of appeal and the fact that you're being circumspect at the moment. We're going to talk a little bit around the corners of that rather than at that. You see what I mean? We heard Nigeria's Chief Justice, you and I were discussing this previously, recently, appealing for the burden of political cases to be lessened on the judiciary. The NNPC, of course, chose not to legally dispute the presidential election, but that won't be the case in Kano, will it?
No. Of course, we have to defend the mandate overwhelmingly.
Well, I mean, you said that during the presidential election, but in the end,
during the presidential election, we decided not to go to court to challenge the victory of His Excellency Bola Ahmed Tinubu for reasons that were best known to us after a thorough interaction and interrogation of issues within the party.
Right, that's pretty clear, because I mean that's historical now. But in reacting to the decision of the Kano Tribunal, how measured will the NNPP be? Will there be a proportionate and pragmatic approach using purely legal and legitimate channels of appeal, or are we going to see NNPP supporters out on the streets, or both?
We are going to purely follow the law, the path of the law. I must tell you that I was in Kano yesterday, came in from Kano today, and Kano is calm, peaceful. The issue of curfew is to preempt, take proactive measures to forestall any other event that we might have occurred. You are dealing with human beings, highly dynamic. You can never know.
Absolutely.
And security issues. So you can even agree that the governor issued a circular. It is upon that circular that even the Commissioner of Police is acting. So to tell you that the governor himself is much aware that the security of the people of Kano State is paramount, other than his victory or his defeat.
Right, but I mean, you said you just came back from Kano, and your assessment is that the current situation on the ground is all quiet.
Very quiet.
But you do agree that there are tensions simmering, and it could just take a little spark from a tinder box for that to explode to breaking point. Is that your assessment?
Well, clearly the decision of the tribunal annulling the election of the governor of Kano State under the platform NNPP naturally will shake the equilibrium. But I appreciate the governor in his wisdom to proactively issue a circular which the police and other security agencies, sister security agencies, have keyed in to ensure that there's a curfew
Right, but beyond the legal side of things, which you've talked about, and the fact that the police and so on are on the streets, in terms of public opinion, do you think the NNPP is carrying the popular consent of the people of Kano?
Very well. I must tell you that the people of Kano are solidly behind NNPP, and that's why they have listened solidly. They are solidly behind His Excellency Governor Kabir Yusuf Abba, and he came out to tell that they should remain calm. And because they believe in him, they trusted in him, they are the one that gave him that mandate, there's certainly going to be peace.
Right.
Proactively, sir.
Right.
He has now brought in the issue of curfew to forestall any.
Right. Yeah, you've made that point.
Yes,
but what's the mood like inside the NNPP itself following this ruling? Because by some accounts, the party was already divided down the middle. Will there be consternation overall? Has morale been further dampened, or will some members of the party be gloating over this ruling by the tribunal and this loss of ground by the NNPP?
Well, on the general note, what I tell you that, contrary to the general issues in the public, the general hype, I call it media hype in the public, the NNPP is divided, there's tension, there's this, that. I want to tell you, assure you, as the National Legal Advisor of NNPP, the NNPP is intact. We are intact, we are one. We have some disgruntled people among us, which is known. They are ventilating their own anger in social media or whatever. But the truth of the matter is that legally and even off legal, socially and even politically, NNPP is intact.
Right. Okay.
Yes.
On that note, I want to thank you very much indeed and wish you all the very best. Barrister Robert Turner Horn, you said, is the legal advisor of the New Nigeria People's Party, or NNPP. Thank you very much indeed for coming in.